Hello and welcome back to another Insider Provider video, and since it is the international break and we are roughly a third of the way through the Premier League season, I thought there'd be no better time to do a Premier League team of the season so far. Starting off in between the sticks, now I know Alisson is the best keeper in the world in my opinion by far, the only one really to come close to him at times is Ter Stegen and Courtois when he's fit, but this choice here is going to kind of set the tone for this video as team of the season so far. It's never purely just who is the best in that position. It's a combination of how are they expected to do, how they've been over the course of 12 or 13 games. And I've gone with Vicario for Spurs. He has been by far the standout keeper in the league so far. If I rattle off some key stats here, he has 4 clean sheets in a defence that has a right wing back, a solely right wing back, that should not be playing in a back four, and Pedro Porro. Destiny Udogie, who also you could have said the same about before the start of this season, was solely a left wing back on loan at Udinese in the Serie A. Didn't really know how he was going to fit in a back four. Of course, hothead Romero in front of him. Never know what's going to happen there. And with Mickey van de Ven, a new signing to the league, there was just a lot of uncertainty in front of Vicario. Even Vicario himself had a decent bit of uncertainty. Was a great keeper in the Serie A. Doesn't necessarily translate over to the Premier League. And to keep 4 clean sheets out of 12 is very impressive. He has a 72% save ratio, which doesn't even sound that high, but it is, I think, second or third best in the league. About 2 weeks ago, he had a save ratio of 78%, and that ranked him at the top as the top keeper in the league in that sense. And the key stat for all keepers that we all go by is post shot XG. He's been expected to concede 18.9 goals, and he's only actually conceded 15. So let's say you save Tottenham for the sake of it 4 goals. That is only bettered by Alisson, who saved Liverpool 5 goals, which is what we expected of Alisson these days. He is a top class keeper, as I said. Personally, think he's the best keeper in the world. And surprisingly, Luton Town's keeper has saved them 8 goals. I forget his name, but fair play to him. He does not want to get relegated. But Vicario has just been a safe pair of hands. If you think back to whenever Chelsea beat them 4-1, he still made like 5 or 6 outrageous saves. And these stats, by the looks of it, don't even justify how good he's been for Tottenham. And in my opinion, a keeper is one of the most important positions to get you up that league table. You know, attack wins you games, but defenses just get you a higher league position. And I think that's what we've seen with Vicario here instead of Lloris, who was popping on wrists and has been a safe pair of hands in the back, releasing confidence into the back four in front of him, and it shows. Moving on to right back, and there was really only one clear choice for me here, and it was Kieran Trippier, who has the second most assists in the league and the joint most clean sheets in the league at Newcastle with 5, joined by Crystal Palace. But, you know, Reece James has come back fit, started the season off well, got injured. Now he's back, he's doing pretty decent. But I just don't think that qualifies for the whole team of the season so far. He's had a good few games. Trent, on the other hand, not as efficient going forward. Doesn't have as many defensive errors in him this season, which is good to see. Moving into midfield at times, but it has to be Trippier for me. 6 assists, second most in the league, as I previously said. 2.8 key passes per 90 from fullback is absolutely ridiculous. What surprised me though is only 2 tackles and interceptions per 90. For most good to world class fullbacks, you'd expect 4.5, but that really isn't Trippier's game. More involved in set pieces, creation, just all round movement of the ball for Newcastle. Same with Guimaraes. The two of them link up very well almost in the midfield. The crosses he puts in is a huge threat for Newcastle, and it's just been sensational ever since he joined the team. Moving into centre back, and my lights have turned red for a reason, because we are moving to Liverpool, where, in my opinion, the highest performing centre back in the world right now is Van Dijk. He's almost back to his best right now, and what reminds me of his best is he was not dribbled past at all in one season. I think it was the 1920 season, where I think he technically got dribbled past once, but it was a bit of a dodgy one. But this reminds me of that. Hasn't been drilled past or dispossessed at all yet this season. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's in the top 5% for ground and aerial duels won, clearances, and shots blocked. He is doing absolutely everything you can ask for of a centre back. Also pitched in with 2 assists. And what surprised me as well is 2 tackles and interceptions per 90. This is a sign of your midfield being a bit leaky, which explains a lot because McAllister being asked to be a number 6, sometimes Gravenberch at times, which they aren't natural to that position, and it just kind of shows he is being asked to pick up the pieces where that midfield is leaky, and he is well capable of doing it. I think we are back to seeing Van Dijk at his best, and it is a joy to watch. The lights are staying red because we are moving over to the red side in London, where the other centre back partner is for Van Dijk. It is Saliba, the 22-year-old, has the joint most in the Premier League again, 5 clean sheets, has played every single minute of the Premier League and Champions League. But I looked into his stats, and not many of them are impressive at all. I'm just going this off the eye test because the stats for a centre back are pretty woeful, like duels won, dual success rate, aerial duels. They weren't too good, but I was confused because he genuinely looks like one of the best defenders in the world right now, and you cannot say that. He looks so sure in defense, on the ball, off the ball positioning, getting in the crunch tackles, but the stats just don't back it up. But one stat that did intrigue me was he has 3 expected assists, so it just shows how good he is on the ball as a centre half. But again, as I said, stats don't back it up. You just watch him. He is so physical, so aggressive, always in the right position, and definitely in this team as of yet. Moving on to left back, the lights are back on white because we're going to Tottenham because there wasn't a huge amount of options. You know, Luke Shaw's been injured, Ben Chilwell's been injured, left back of the year, Stupinan's been injured, but the standout option definitely is Doji at the moment. 4.2 tackles and interceptions, that is an elite amount of defensive numbers for especially a fullback who's so attacking as he is. He's often wandering into that number 10 position, switching with Madison, or Madison goes out wide, kind of confuses the opponents. And he's very capable of doing that going forward. And it shows because he had 2 assists so far this season. Tottenham have 4 clean sheets as well, and they were all times where Adoji was playing. He missed 2 games and they conceded in both of those games, which kind of shows how crucial he is to the defensive system of Tottenham. As I said, he went out on loan to Udinese last season. Didn't exactly know how this 20-year-old was going to fit into the league and whether he could fit into a back four with a kind of shaky defense put in front of him. But everything is just gelled together so well, and he is doing so good for a 20-year-old in the league. One impressive thing I saw was 6.4 ground duels, 1 per 90, which ranks him in the top 12% of the league. And for a 20-year-old to do this is absolutely insane, as I said previously, in a kind of put together defense that no one really knew what was going to happen with it. It's absolutely unreal. Moving into midfield, and the light is staying white because we are moving on to Basuma, once again of Tottenham. And even before I get into the stats here, he is just so dominant in the midfield, silky the way he glides across the pitch with his big long legs, tackling everything. He is everywhere all at once. And it really shows in the stats. He makes 5 tackles and interceptions per 90, which is in the top 2% in the Premier League. He is literally everywhere. Tackle success rate is through the roof. And even dribbling, he picks the ball up from deep, dribbles up, 2.33 successful dribbles per 90, which ranks him in the top 4% of Premier League players. They're like almost winger numbers, but he's doing it through the midfield. He almost reminds you of like prime Moussa Dembele when he was at Spurs. Like he was just so physical, and you just couldn't get the ball off him. And another outstanding stat here: 8.5 successful ground duels won per 90, which is in the top 3%. Now, I know Declan Rice probably should be in this, but he scored 2 goals. I don't think we're seeing the best of Declan Rice yet, and that's why he's not in this team as of yet. He's kind of asked to do a 6, then sometimes 8, with Jorginho and like Havertz in the midfield kind of clogging what he's trying to do. And I think we're seeing Basuma's full potential here, and Rice still has more to come from once that midfield is sorted, where they have Party, Odegaard, and Rice kind of in that old Xhaka role. But for now, Basuma is definitely my pick for number 6 of the season so far. Moving into my number 8 pick for the team of the season so far, the lights are blue. Who could it be? Could it be Everton? No, it's Chelsea, and I've gone with Conor Gallagher. And I couldn't pick out too many stats that really show this, but if you watch the game against Arsenal in that 2-2 draw, he just nulled everything that the opposition were trying to do. He had Odegaard on lockdown. Jorginho couldn't move. They were trying to make a box midfield. He was just everywhere, closing everyone down. He is so key to Chelsea whenever they're in these big games. He just nullifies their best player on the pitch. He did the same with Rodri against Man City. Whenever Conor Gallagher is just going at your back line and deep lying midfield, he just nullifies everything they're trying to do, just shakes things up. But also, 4.2 tackles and interceptions per 90, really, really strong numbers for a midfielder who gets around everywhere, similar to Basuma. And I just don't think Chelsea would be anywhere near where they are without Conor Gallagher in that midfield. You know, Caicedo doesn't really look quite on his feet yet. Enzo Fernandez still don't even know what role he's in. He was at the number 6 and he was quite a creative 6 last season. Now he's trying to be a more attacking 8 and it's not quite working. But Conor Gallagher really is the glue of that midfield, picking up where the other two lack. And of course, there's Cole Palmer, Sterling, who get the headlines, of course, but Conor Gallagher, 4 assists as well. And I just think he deserves this spot for almost single handedly carrying Chelsea at times, to be honest. The lights are wide again, and it's for the number 10 role in the midfield. Do I need to say it? It's James Maddison, right? 3 goals, 5 assists. The guy is involved in almost every single game. 8 goal contributions in 11 games. He is just picking up and gluing everything that Harry Kane left. Son up and striker works perfectly. He connects the midfield from that double pivot of Sarr and Basuma so well. He drags opponents out wide, comes back in. Almost reminds you of like Eden Hazard at times whenever he was like towards the latter end of his career at Chelsea, just dragging in and out and in and out, shaking up defenses like a blender. But another a few amazing stats here: 3.24 key passes per 90, showing just how creative he is. That ranks in the top 1% of players in the Premier League, and this maybe shows a bit of like Tottenham Hotspur's game plan here. 5.9 crosses attempted per 90. He, as I said, he gets out wide extremely often and just gets in the positions at the right time to make those crosses. But he actually does quite a lot of defensive work. I thought just by the eye test, like, yeah, he does a lot of pressures per 90, but doesn't actually make an effect. He makes 2 tackles and interceptions per 90, which is the same as Kieran Trippier when you put it that way. So he's definitely helping out defensively. He's not just leaving it to the double pivot of Sarr and Basuma. And also 6 ground duels, 1 per 90. So he's getting involved. And like he does come deep at time to collect and just run the entire match for Tottenham. And I don't even need to say anymore. You know he's how good he is. He's probably the signing of the season, possibly even player of the season so far. Moving on to the forwards, and the lights are red. We're in the right winger position. Do I need to say it? It's important. No, it's Salah. It has to be Salah. 10 goals and 4 assists in 12 games so far this season. Absolutely insane, the goal contributions he is putting up at the age of 31. And what we're seeing from Salah this season is almost like the final evolution of Salah. He's becoming more of a traditional winger because he's a lot more wider and deeper than he usually would in that inside forward role on the right. I think this is because of Darwin Núñez or whoever the striker is at the time are traditional strikers compared to Firmino, who would drop deep and facilitate Mane and Salah. But he has just taken to that role, which a lot of people said he couldn't. Just he's taken to it like a duck to water. He has a 31% conversion rate, which means pretty much if he takes 3 shots, one of them is a goal. And the thing is, he's only taken 2.7 shots per 90, so he's not exactly just going for goal all the time. He's a lot more selfless. Like those 4 assists probably undersell him. He's been way more creative, as it shows here. 2.3 key passes per 90, and I think it's just a lot of the time it's Darwin Núñez not finishing his dinner, but he is there to create those positions a lot wider. And one thing that really shocked me is he only makes 0.77 successful dribbles per 90. He's not a typical dribbler. He kind of just gets into the right space, almost like Messi does at times in the latter stages of his career, just kind of floats around, always looking around. People might say it's lazy, but if you're that good of a player and have this much good of an end product, go ahead and do it. Right, so we're back to blue, and it's for the striker. Definitely not Nicholas Jackson. Of course, it's Erling Haaland. 13 goals and 3 assists from 12 games. He's starting to score from outside the box. He's had an update to the robotics in his engine. Like, what? It's genuinely just annoying because he doesn't even have Kevin De Bruyne this season to just fling balls in him from everywhere and anywhere, in behind, in the box. No, it's just Man City perfectly working the ball around the edge of the box, sometimes counter-attacking. You don't know how to defend him. And like he hasn't scored against Liverpool. Saliba tends to deal with him quite well whenever they play. But he just is unstoppable. He has a better conversion rate than Salah at 33.3. So exactly anytime he takes 3 shots, he will score. And the thing is, he takes 3.4 shots per game. So try work that one out. And I don't even want to talk about him. You know how good he is. Moving into the final position, left wing, the lights are staying blue. I was very tempted to give it to Heung-min Son because he has played left wing, I think, once or twice this season, racking up 8 goals, so I almost wanted to shoehorn him in. But then I thought of two different players that play for two different blue clubs, Raheem Sterling, and I've gone with Jeremy Doku. Now, he hasn't had a huge amount of game time, so these stats might be inflated. But even just looking at him, he is relentless down the left wing. He is the ultimate Leroy Sané replacement. You know, City down the wings have been kind of lackluster at times. A lot of people criticizing Jack Grealish for not being as creative as he was at Aston Villa, where he just goes down to the wing, comes to the man, just looks around, finds backward pass to the centre back, to Rodri, whoever. But Doku is the answer to this. He is electric down the left wing and even very clinical, which I didn't expect from him. He's never been clinical in his life. If you look through his stats throughout his career, 2 goals and 5 assists. Yes, 1 goal and 4 of those assists were in one match, but that match was sensational. 1.13 goal involvements per 90 because of that. 2.4 key passes. He is extremely creative. He manages to just wiggle his way around the box and give that dead ball no matter where they are in the box. They could be blocked by like 2 or 3 defenders in his vision. He just gets it to them somehow. This is where it gets ridiculous. 4.5 successful dribbles per 90, not attempted. That's better than Alan St. Maximan. And the next best as a whole is Eden Hazard at 7, but that was absolutely ridiculous because he just picked up the ball all the time and he was a one man team. But even further, why Pep probably was interested in him is his work rate off the ball. He has 2.6 tackles per 90, which ranks him in the top 14% of the Premier League, and he's a left winger. And which is also insane, he has 9.5 successful ground duels per 90, which is in the top 1%. He is an absolute dog, whether it's relentless down the wings or defending from the front. And I think this is what Pep saw that not a lot of people have seen before in the past. They've just seen a winger that is skillful and not quite clinical, but he has turned him into a clinical winger who works so much off the ball, and that is scary whenever you consider De Bruyne could be coming back and he's servicing Haaland. City are winning the league either way, but by how much and what way they do it could be scary. Anyway, that's it for my team of the season so far. If you enjoyed, please drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe.